In this instructional DVD, we provide an introduction to using the Microsoft Access 2007 program. Database design is outside the scope of this program. Before you begin designing and constructing your first database, check out your local library for books on database design. You can also perform a Google search on the subject. We'll start the Internet Explorer web browser here. We'll then click inside the web address box to highlight the current web address and type www.google.com into the web address box. Press the Enter key one time. Type database design into the Google search box and press the Enter key one time. You can then browse through your search result list for information on designing a relational database. You can, if you wish, modify your Google search by clicking inside the Google search box and then type in cite:/.edu. This will limit your search results to college or university web pages. We'll click the search button here and browse through our search results. A database is an organized body of related information. A database can be as basic as a contact list or as complex as an entire organization's infrastructure and operations. It is usually sufficient to have one database per project. For example, you can have one database for business and another database for your home expenses. To create a new blank database, you can first start the Access 2007 program. Then click the blank database button. Which will cause a blank database panel to appear on the right side of the Microsoft Access window. click inside the file name box to put the blinking line there. Then press the backspace key on your computer keyboard to erase the default file name. And then type in a descriptive file name in its place, which in this example will be sales. You can then either click the Create button or press the Enter key on your computer keyboard one time. This will create that database for you. You can also create a database from a template by first clicking on the template that you wish to use one time. You can then, if you wish to do so, type in a different file name for this database in the file name box, or accept the default file name and click the download button one time. A Microsoft Office Genuine Advantage window has appeared, informing us that templates are only available to customers running genuine Microsoft Office. We have registered this copy of Microsoft Office, so we're going to click the Do Not Show This Message Again checkbox, and then click the Continue button. The template will then download from the internet to your computer. We can close the Access Help window that has appeared by clicking its Close button. And a Getting Started with Contacts Wizard window has appeared. You can watch a video on how to create this particular type of database by clicking the Watch This button. Or you can close this Getting Started window by clicking its Close button at the top right corner of the Getting Started window. Now, a contact list database has been created for us, pre-formatted. A table in Access is quite different than a table in real life. Instead of having wooden legs and being used for food, Access tables, such as the one shown here, are a grid made up of rows and columns. A table cell is where a column and a row intersect. You can select a cell in a database table by clicking on it one time. Most of your database tables will require an ID field or primary key field. A primary key is a unique identifier for a particular row in a database table. After you have created a database, you can put one or more tables into it by first clicking the Create tab near the top left corner of the Access window, which will cause the Create menu to appear. You can click the Table button on the far left side of the Create menu one time, which will, by default, open a new table for you in Datasheet view. After you have created a table, you can start adding fields or columns to it. One way of doing this is to first double-click the Add New Field button here. Knock knock, which will put the blinking line or text insertion point into that column heading cell. You can then type in a descriptive column heading, which in this example will be Sales Associate. The text that you type into a column heading cell may be too wide for that column. To make sure that the column is wide enough to accommodate that text, you can first use the mouse to place the screen cursor over the right border of the column heading cell, as shown here. Please note that the screen cursor has turned in to a double-sided arrow. Hold the mouse very still and then double-click the left mouse button. Knock knock. You can deselect a column heading cell by clicking in the cell directly underneath it. You can add additional columns to your table the same way. Double-click the Add New Field button. Knock knock. Type in a column heading, which in this example will be Item. Single-click in the cell directly underneath it, and so forth. Now we have an error message here. Well, it's more of a warning. The name that you supplied is a reserved word. Reserved words have a special meaning to Microsoft Access. The window goes on to explain here that if we use a reserved word, such as date, you may receive an error when referring to this field. So we'll click the OK button on this window, and then double-click the column that has the reserved word, knock knock, and then type in a different column heading. Now the word date is reserved by Access, so we'll change this to sale date. Now that the column headings have been added to this table, we can start entering the table records, or, if necessary, specify some data types for these columns. You can, and should, specify a data type for a particular column, such as the sale date column here, by first clicking on that column one time. To select it, you can then click the Data Sheet tab near the top of the Access window. Then click the little arrow on the right side of the Data Type box, which will cause a drop-down menu to appear. We want only dates in the sale date column, so we'll use the mouse to select date/time from this Data Type menu by clicking on it one time. We'll then click on the wholesale price column here. To select that column, we'll then click the little arrow on the right side of the Data Type box again and select Currency from the drop-down menu. We'll do the same thing with the retail price column. The item column is going to be text. If we click that column one time and look in the Data Type box, we see that text is already there, so we don't have to do anything further. Sales Associate, same thing. Text is the default data type. After you create a new table, you can save your work by clicking the floppy disk icon near the top left corner of the Access window, which will cause a small Save As window to appear. You can type a name for your table in the table name box, which in this example will be monthly underscore sales. You can then either click the OK button or press the Enter key on your computer keyboard one time. To create a table in Design View, you can first, if necessary, click the Home tab one time, then click the little arrow underneath the View button, also one time, and select Design View from the drop-down menu. This may cause a small Save As window to appear. If prompted to do so, type in a name for your table into the table name box, which in this example will be Employees, and then click the OK button or press the Enter key on your computer keyboard. This will cause a new table to be created in Design View. The first field in this new table, the ID field will be created for you. This field is the primary key field, the unique identifier column. By default, your primary key field will have a auto number data type. This is probably the data type that you'll want to use, and we'll see how it works in the next chapter. Now, we'll click inside the second field name box to put the blinking line there, and then we'll type in a field name, which in this example will be last name. We'll then press the Tab key on the computer keyboard to move the blinking line to the data type box. The text data type will be the first selection in the data type options. This is what we want for this field, as we'll be typing text into it. Now, we'll click inside the next field name box and type in the next field name, first name. We can also click the data type box and make sure that text is the data type for this field. The next field name will be hire date, and it will have a data type of date/time. We want only dates to be in the hire date column. We'll click in the next field name box and type in phone. We're going to assign the phone number a text data type here. It doesn't have to be number. We're not performing any calculations with the phone numbers here. Plus, we may want to include dashes in the phone numbers. This being the case, we need to use text as the data type. After you have completed all of the data types, you can click the Save button near the top left corner of the Access window. To add records to a table that you created in Design View, you can click the View button one time. To open a database, you can first click the Microsoft Office button one time, which will cause a list of recent databases to appear on the right side of this drop-down menu. You can then click one time on the database that you wish to open. Now I have a security warning here informing me that certain content in the database has been disabled. We'll click on the Options button here and read the security alert. We trust Microsoft, So we'll click the Enable this content radio button. And then click the OK button on this security alert window. This opens our database, and we can see the tables that we created on the left side of this window. As previously mentioned, when you open a database, the tables that you created in that database will appear on the left side of the Access window. You can open a table by using the mouse to double-click it. Knock, knock. Adding a row or a record to a table in your database is pretty straightforward. First, click inside the cell that you wish to type into to put the blinking line there, and then type in the data for that cell, which in this example is a sales associate's name. You can then click inside the next cell in that row and type in that information. You can also press the Tab key on your computer keyboard to move the blinking line or text insertion point from one column in a row to the next. You can add additional rows or records the same way. Now please note that the ID field was automatically incremented. The ID field is the primary key or unique identifier field. It has a data type of auto number, which means that you don't have to type anything into this field. The program will do that for you. To see a data type for a particular field, you can first click on that field one time to select it, then click the Data Sheet tab, and then look in the data type box. We see here that the ID field is an auto number field. Also, a ID field or a primary key field must be unique. You can't have two records in a database with the same primary key or ID. In this section, we are first going to open the other table in this database, the employees table, by double-clicking on it, which opens that table in Datasheet view. We'll first click in the last name column in the first row and type in the data for that cell, which in this example will be an employee's last name. Please note that the ID number has been automatically inserted. Remember that the ID field here is the primary key field, or unique identifier field. Now we'll click in the first name column here in the first row and type in the employee's first name. Hire date, which will be automatically formatted. (10, 15, 07). Click inside the phone field and type in the employee's phone number. Now we'll click inside the last name column in the second row to put the blinking line there. And then we'll type in the last name for the second employee here, which is Alan. Gracie. Hire date. Now we're going to type in 9104, but watch what happens when I click in the phone field here. The date is automatically changed into the date format that we selected for the date column or field. You can switch back and forth between tables by clicking the tabs near the top of the spreadsheet window. Here we'll click the monthly sales tab one time, which makes the monthly sales table active. To add a field or a column to a table in your database, you can first open the table that you wish to add a column to. Then click the Datasheet tab near the top of the Access window. Look for the Insert button here on the Datasheet menu and click that button one time. This will insert a new column into the table that you currently have open. You can double-click the column header, knock knock, to highlight the default text, which is field 1 in this example, and then type in the column name or field name, which in this example will be address. You can then click in the cell underneath the column header here on the first row, and then type in the data that that cell requires, which in this example will be 1234 Main Street. Now, for the second row, here in the Employees table, we'll click inside the address cell and type in Gracie Allen's address. You can make a column wider if you wish to accommodate its data by first using the mouse to right mouse click the column header, which will cause a pop-up menu to appear. Then select Column Width from the pop-up menu by clicking on it one time. This will cause a column width window to appear. You can manually set the column width or click the Best Fit button. This will automatically make the column wide enough to accommodate its data. You can move a column by first using the mouse to click the column header one time, and then by pressing and holding down the left mouse button. As you're holding down the left mouse button, you can move the mouse on the mouse pad to where you want the column to be, which in this example is right between the hire date and phone columns. When the column is where you want it to be, you can stop moving the mouse on the mouse pad and release the left mouse button that you had been holding down. You can deselect a column by clicking on a blank area of the datasheet. You can rename a table in your database by first using the mouse to place the tip of your screen arrow directly over the table whose name that you wish to change. Hold the mouse very still and click the right mouse button one time. This will cause a pop-up menu to appear. Use the mouse to select Rename from this pop-up menu by left mouse clicking on it one time. This will highlight the table name for you. You can then type in a different table name in its place, which in this example will be Inventory. After you have typed in a new name for this table, you can click on a blank area of the Access window. To delete a table from your database, you can first use the mouse to right mouse click the table that you wish to delete, and then select Delete from the pop-up menu. A warning window will appear asking if you're sure that you wish to delete this table. If so, you can click the Yes button on this window one time. This will delete that table from your database. To delete a field or column in a database table, you can first click the field header one time, then click the right mouse button and select Delete Column from the drop-down menu. A warning window will appear asking if you really want to delete that field. If so, click the Yes button one time. This will remove that field from your table. To delete a row of data, you can first click the little box on the far left side of the row that you wish to delete to select that row. You can then, if necessary, click the Home tab one time and then click the Delete button here on the Home menu. A window will appear warning you that you're about to delete one record. If you change your mind about deleting this record, you can click the No button on this window. Or, if you really do want to delete this entire record, you can click the Yes button. This will remove that record or row from your table. You can close a table by first using the mouse to place the tip of your screen arrow directly over the Table tab, as shown here. Click the right mouse button and then select Close from the pop-up menu. If you have made any changes to your table, a pop-up window will appear asking if you wish to save these changes. If so, click the Yes button one time, which will close the table and save any changes that you have made. To add a row or a record to a table, you can first open the table by double-clicking on it, knock knock, scroll down to the bottom of the table, and then type in your record. By the way, you can save yourself some time and typing by copying and pasting data from one cell to another. You can do that by first using the mouse to highlight the cell that you wish to copy, as shown here. You can then perform the Control-C keyboard shortcut To copy the highlighted text to an invisible clipboard on your computer, then click inside another cell and perform the Control-V keyboard shortcut to paste the copied content. The built-in Find and Replace function can be a very useful tool for database work. In this demonstration, we're going to find all occurrences of Ted Osborne and change them to Theodore Osborne. To do that, we'll first click the Home tab near the top left corner of the Access window, and then click the Find button, which is on the far right side of the Home menu. This will cause a Find and Replace window to appear. We'll click the Replace tab on this window and type in the text that we wish to find, which in this example is Ted Osborne, and then click inside the Replace With box and then type in the text that we wish to replace the found text with. You can select a field from the Look-In box select how you want to match either any part of field, start a field, or whole field. Click the Match Case button if necessary. And then click the Replace All button here on the Find and Replace window. A warning window has appeared informing us that we won't be able to undo this replace operation and asks us if we still want to continue. We do, so we'll click the Yes button. We'll then close this window by clicking the X near the top right corner. And we see here that the three occurrences in this table of Ted Osborne have been replaced with Theodore Osborne. This can be a big time saver if you have a table with lots of records in it. To add a totals row to a selected table in your database, you can first, if necessary, use the View button to switch to Datasheet View. Then click the Totals button here on the Home menu. Which will insert a total row underneath the new row at the bottom of the table that you currently have open. In this example, we're going to sum the values in the retail price column here. To do that, we'll first click inside the total cell here in the retail price column, which will cause a little arrow to appear on the left side of this table cell. We'll click this arrow one time and then select Sum from the drop-down menu. This places the sum of the values in the retail price column into that total cell. You can hide a totals row in your table by clicking the Totals button again. You can sort records in your database table by single column by first clicking the column header that you wish to sort by, which in this example will be the Sales Associate Name column. You can then click either the descending or ascending sort buttons. Remember that you can undo the last thing that you did by clicking the Undo button near the top left corner of the Access window. You can filter your database tables to show you only certain records. In this example, we'll click the little arrow on the right side of the Sales Associate label, which causes a pop-up menu to appear. We'll then deselect all of the data in this column, meaning Sales Associate names, by unchecking the Select All checkbox. Now we only want to see data for a few of these sales associates here. So we'll go ahead and check those names. After you have selected the data that you wish to see, you can click the OK button one time, and the data filter will be applied. You can remove a filter by clicking the little arrow again on the right side of the field label, and then by selecting Clear Filter from the pop-up menu.